Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1772. We continue in March with Women's Month here on Cars Yeah, celebrating women in the automotive sector, having conversations with 23 inspiring automotive enthusiasts throughout the month. These are all women who are shifting the conversation. Here we go.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in Maybank, Texas, with a very special guest by the name of Emily Reeves. Hey, Emily, welcome to Cars Yeah. Are you ready to put it in gear and release the clutch?
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, no doubt. We're going to have some fun today. This lady is full of energy and full of fun. But before I give you a proper introduction, what's one little thing that maybe, as popular as you are, this might be tough. Maybe most people don't know about you, Emily.
Well, I think one of those things might be that I grew up homeschooled. I was one of those strange homeschooled kids that didn't go to public school.
What were the benefits of that? Because more and more people are doing that these days. I think it's a wonderful thing if the child is in a good place for that. Some kids, maybe that doesn't work out very well for, but it obviously worked well for you.
Well, thanks. Yeah. I would not have changed the way my parents did it. I think that there are way too many pros that I experienced that I could go on and on. One of the main things that I feel like was the most important was my parents focused a whole lot less on academics and the education that people think of, and more on building a human that would be inspired to find information. So it was more about teaching me how to fish, not, giving me a fish. And I think that was the most instrumental thing in who I am today, was focusing more on that foundation of a person and having the ambition to find mentors and be stoked about things in life instead of, I'm going to pass all these tests and get a high school diploma and be smart the way the world sees smart. So I loved that
Wow.
they did.
You have some very, very cool parents, that's for sure. I love that analogy, teach me to fish versus giving me a fish, which kind of ties back to the idea of the Bible, I think. Teaching a man to fish versus giving him a fish so that he can feed himself forever and feed others. So I love that.
Exactly.
Very cool. Well, let me give you a proper introduction. We're going to dive into this exciting world you've created, you and your husband. Emily Reeves and her husband, Aaron, produced and hosts their Flying Sparks Garage YouTube page. From building cars to flying airplanes and riding in boats, they share their automotive-filled lives with their loyal followers. They honeymooned on the Hot Rod Power Tour in 2007. How cool is that? A week-long road trip with thousands of hot rods. Who can say they did that for a honeymoon? Their YouTube channel takes you inside their high-energy world of building and wrenching together. Their home shop, they named Flying Sparks, relates to their love for each other and their passion for all things that move. You know what? You can also find them on Motor Trend On Demand on a show they did titled Live, Love, Wrench. We'll be back in just a minute to talk with Emily, but first a word from our sponsors. They keep food on the table here, a couple fish. We'll listen to them, have some care for them, and we'll be back in just a minute. Did you know Covercraft offers you much more than car covers? Floor mats, seat covers, and trunk liners? That's right. When you visit covercraft.com, you'll find cologne custom bras, LeBra front end covers, and hood protectors that protect your vehicle's front end while you're on a road trip. No more rock chips or hours removing that nasty bug jerky from your grill and your paint. You'll find vehicle seat back organizers that keep everything in check, perfect for all the kids' things in the back seats, Spidey gear webs that keep your cargo in your truck bed safely in place, seat heaters, cargo bars, pro nets, rooftop carriers, and pet travel barriers to keep Fido in the back seat. They even make tire covers. And don't forget their dash mat, dashboard covers that shield your vehicles from the sun's damaging UV rays, and their sunscreens, my favorite. Their pet protection pads are easy to install, easy to remove, and washable. They protect your floors and seats from Fido's damaging claws, messy fur, and slobber. Everything at Covercraft is carefully engineered engineered and quality made. I've used their interior protection on all my vehicles for many years. And I've got a really great deal for you. If you use the code YEAH21, YEAH21 at covercraft.com, you'll get 10% off. That's right, 10% off. So just use the code YEAH21 at checkout at covercraft.com. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. I found a new way to protect my vehicle. American Collectors Insurance. That's who now protects my Porsche Turbo, the one I call my Orange Crush. But did you know they also insure your valuable collectibles of automobilia and automotive collectibles? If you're like me, you've invested in a lot of cool automotive collectibles over the years. Those items are valuable, and if you were to lose them in a theft or a fire, well, try to get your normal homeowner's insurance to pay you what they're worth. Good luck with that. American Collectors Insurance provides you with assurance and confidence that your collectibles are fully covered. American Collectors Insurance have been protecting us automotive enthusiasts since 1976. They provided me with an agreed value insurance policy backed by a history of taking care of their clients. Give them a call today for a quote at 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. And protect the ones you love. I did. American Collectors Insurance. Classic car and collectible insurance designed by collectors for collectors, just like you and me. All right, Emily, we are back. Now let's go a little deeper into the corner and share with us a little bit more about your business, what your role is today. It's a nice way to get the tires spinning and smoking in your case a little bit. So, Emily, I know you love to drive. Take the wheel.
Right. So that's a pretty big ask there, because I feel like I play a whole lot of roles in Flying Sparks Garage. So right now, Aaron is really, really good at project management and sort of putting together the outlines for our builds. He is extremely introverted, so he's done an amazing job making himself get in front of the camera and be that people person that you kind of have to be if you're going to make a online brand and kind of be that influencer personality. So I appreciate his efforts in pushing himself to do that. But as far as all the social media, building the brand, talking with all of our partners, doing all of the shooting and editing, that's a lot of what I do day to day. There's a ton that goes into building not only a YouTube presence, but Facebook, Instagram, all the different social media platforms. There is so much work that goes into maintaining all those. And I love talking with folks. So I am, of course, an extrovert, and I respond to 99% of the messages that I get, and that 1% are just not worth responding to, because we have all of those interesting people online that just say weird things, and I just, move past that. But I love talking with our fans and our supporters and people that encourage us along the way, because there are so many wonderful, wonderful people that we have. And it's our full-time job now. With COVID, my full-time job prior to that was modeling and acting. So I've done that for, my gosh, 20 years. But that completely fell away with COVID. So I was able to delegate all of my time to Flying Sparks Garage. And it happened that a lot of our partners had money in motorsports, all the different varieties of racing and things that totally didn't happen last year because of COVID. So we were able to talk with them and figure out creative ways to utilize their marketing dollars, which was really convenient for us because we needed to buy food, right? So we did product videos, all kinds of cool sort of back ends of the companies, like internal videos, different things that they needed that I could do because I've built this knowledge in editing and shooting, and just everything came together last year to be one of our best years. Despite all of the craziness of COVID, it was like, okay, we're going to make the best of all this. So it's just been awesome.
This is a wonderful story because I've heard this over and over again. And certainly there's so many people that were affected negatively with what happened last year and continues, quite frankly, right now. However, the fact that the ingenuity of entrepreneurs like you and Aaron just said, okay, this is happening. How can we twist this around? How can we take advantage? I found out the same thing. People's marketing dollars couldn't go one place, but they have to keep promoting. Those smart companies do. The others just stop and they find out in about 6 to 12 months what that does. They revert it to other people like you and me who are out there still in front of people every day. We're still producing. We just found another way to do it. So I'm very excited to hear what you've done. I'm shocked to hear about Aaron being a bit of a quiet guy because he doesn't come across that way at all on your videos. So you've done a good job of coaching him with your modeling and your acting and your positive outlook. You're so full of energy. So bravo to that. You're a good coach for him. I would love for you to talk a little bit about your driving inspiration. Has there been a key mentor? You mentioned your parents being obviously very strong in this area. Key mentor that has helped you be successful in your life, a really influential person that you can share?
Well, so I have, there's our life. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go with this because I have automotive mentors and then I have mentors that are really close to us that aren't in automotive. So I'll start with mentors that aren't automotive because that's really where the heart is for me. So my grandparents are still alive. They are 86 and 87 or 88, and they got together when they were the same age as when Aaron and I got together, 14 and 17.
Wow.
And so they've been, married close to 70 years, and they're just amazing people. And they are some of our not only mentors, but supporters. They don't miss an episode. Every time they watch an episode, they'll text me with their favorite high points and just different things about staying in tune with what we're doing. And we spend so much time with them. They are the coolest people, always learning, always challenging themselves. And that is the biggest influence in our world, not only for being individuals that never stop changing and growing, but also as a couple, which leads me to my next bit of inspiration is Aaron and I worked so hard to be the people for each other that we want to be. And doing that on camera is such a challenge. When we're shooting our YouTube series, we are the videographers. We set the cameras up, we get all of our parts together, and then we start rolling camera, and then we start working. Having our presence there maintain who we actually are and who we want to be is such a challenge. So having people that follow us and encourage us and say, you guys are such an inspiration to my wife and I, or my watch with my daughter, and she's so inspired by you guys. Thank you for being, points of inspiration for that. That is really what inspires us to keep going and challenging ourselves to be better and do better, but also make mistakes and show them. We're not perfect. We're learning as we go a lot of times. So just that authentic approach to things and showing like we're not always great. We're not always in the know. That's going to be what drives us times out of 10.
It's a reality, really, is what I'm hearing. And I think it's something about Texas. I've got family in Texas. My grandparents were married when they were very young, lived for a long time, had lots of children and grandchildren, married 72 years. So maybe it's something in the water there in Texas about longevity, persistence. I know there's a lot of grit in that state. I'm proud to say that my father, being from Texas, brought some of that through to me. At least I hope he did. But I hear that authenticity coming through, which is so important. And that's why YouTubers like you and so many who are doing a great job and working so hard, I believe are successful because TV's kind of fakey-do land and everyone kind of knows it. And if you're into that, that's fine if that's what you like, but that's not the real world. And I have some other couples I follow. One, Sailing La Vagabond, a young couple out of Australia that have been sailing around the world for 6 years, that they do the same thing. Very authentic. I'm not even into sailing, but I enjoy the show because I just admire the fact that they've created a life like you and Aaron have around doing what they love and then sharing it with others. And there's a lot of work to this stuff, even podcasting, editing, and promoting. Oh yeah. Do that every day. Well, let me ask you this. What kind of advice would you offer a woman who wants to get into what you're doing on how to be successful with it?
Well, I answer messages like this all the time because I feel like I come across as someone that's very easy to access, and people ask me questions about starting YouTube channels and trying to build their brands, and I answer every one of the messages. And what I say is, you just have to start. there's so much that you're not going to know and that you're not going to be prepared for, and that you're going to feel ill-equipped. But you can't let that stop you, because a lot of that learning comes from tripping and falling and having failures and pivoting and realizing, okay, it's okay that I don't know what I'm doing, or it's okay that I don't know how to respond to this, or I don't know how to do this particular job in the shop. You just have to start. And what's so cool about it is when people pull their camera out or pull their phone out, because a lot of our series is shot with my iPhone. If you can just pull that phone out, pull up a selfie video and be like, hey guys, I'm going to start this project on my car, and I've never done this before, but I've read some articles and I've watched some videos and I've YouTubed how to do this. So come along with me. And you just show yourself doing something. People love that. And especially if you mess up, people like you even more if you mess up, because they've messed up, or that you teach them something that maybe they won't have to learn the hard way too. It's really, really cool when you have the guts to just be who you are and communicate it authentically to people, because that will take you so far. And so that's mostly what I tell people is just start. Just try and keep trying, because it's not going to be easy. But if you let yourself not do it because you're ill-equipped, then that's just, you're never going to get anywhere.
Incredible advice. And it's so true. It is so true. Just start. I always say people, they say to me, when should I start this? I said, you should have started it yesterday. Mm-hmm. You just have to do it. You said a few things here. Number one, just start. Just start doing it. Number two, authenticity. Don't try to be someone else who's successful. Be yourself. That's the best advice I got doing this podcast was, Mark, don't try to be another podcaster. Just be you. Even if you're a little, like my kids call me, dorky dad. If I say goofy things, or if I'm just the way I am, just be you, because you don't have to remember to be anything else. Just be you. And you're right. The other thing you said, don't be afraid of goofing up and making mistakes. All of us, I assume you do the same thing, Emily. You go back and look at your original videos and you kind of cringe a little bit like, oh my gosh, I wasn't very good there. But you get better. The more you do it, it's like seat time in a race car. You just have to take more laps. So you're dropping value bombs here all over the place. What has you most excited in this new year with Flying Sparks Garage and what you and Aaron are doing?
Well, that's a great question. The past couple of years, we've done a handful of events that are comfortable for us that we've done in the past. And this year, I think we're going to switch it up. I'll be specific. Like you mentioned, we did Hot Rod Power Tour for our wedding or our honeymoon. And for our anniversary, we've done it. I mean, we've been married a dozen years now, so we've done it like 8 times.
Wow.
So in addition to Power Tour, Hot Rod has an event called Drag Week, where you take a week and you drag race at every stop. So we've done that event twice now, and created content around that and all of that. This year, while we love both of those events so much, we really feel inspired to change it up and to try new events. We've been working a whole lot on our early Bronco, Betty Boop the Bronco.
Betty Boop, I love it.
Yes. And so we're thinking that we'll do some off-roading this year. We've never done any kind of off-roading events, and we're really inspired to do that. So this year is going to hold some different events for us, which I think will be really cool for our audience, because they've seen us do, the hot rod events, and racing and, road tripping is what we've created with that, but we've never done any kind of like overlanding, off-roading, camping, survival stuff, like kind of mix it up. Yeah. And all of that is already a part of our life. We love to camp. We love survivalist stuff. We love off-roading, but we've never filmed or done any events where it's like that's concentrated experience. So that's going to be really fun this year, changing it up that way.
I think you're onto something really important here. When you look at very famous people who've been successful, they keep reinventing themselves. They keep changing. They keep evolving. Do you know Kevin and Michelle Davis?
Yes. Yeah. We met them a couple of years ago at SEMA, and they are just the sweetest couple. Oh my gosh.
I was going to say, you guys remind me of them. They are awesome. They've been guests on the show. And, you should really talk to them about their off-road adventures. You maybe have with Michelle, with the stuff she's done with Sugar High, her Jeep that she takes off-road. But I think you're onto something here. In fact, I know you're onto something here. It's such a huge market segment. It's so much fun, takes you out of your element. get you into something new. And boy, talk about opportunities for goofing up and having challenges. Off-roading, it'll do that for you. I think it's really neat. I think you should do it. Absolutely. What's the favorite part of what you do there at Flying Spark Garage? I know there's so many elements because I do the same thing when you have to combine all these multimedia tasks and things like that. What's something that has you most excited every day as the part of your job that you love?
Well, I'm thinking about that because I think on the surface, my favorite part would be building badass cars, because
Yeah.
we've built a handful of things that are just really cool and people seem to really like, in addition to us being absolutely obsessed with them, and they become family members, those cars. But when I take a step back and I look deeper as to what keeps me going and what keeps me like, yeah, this is what we need to be doing, my favorite part would be the feedback from the people that watch, that it means so much to them. So I've gotten a handful of messages this past year from people that have had a really hard time because of COVID, like a guy that lost his dad. And he sent me a message and he said, my dad was in the hospital on the ventilator, like really, really bad off. And I had some time with him. And what we did was watch you guys on YouTube.
Holy
and
cow.
I got to see my dad laugh and see things that he valued about who you guys are that I will never forget. And I will take those lessons with me. And you guys were the liaison for those experiences for me. And I lost my dad, and now I'll never lose. I can go back and watch your episodes and remember what he said and what he loved about you guys and what he laughed about. And I probably read that message 4 times, and slowly, every time I read it, my eyes would just well up.
I was going to say, how could you read that without just breaking down in tears?
No,
my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the most recent, really heartfelt, amazing messages I've gotten. But we get so many wonderful people that watch our show that it just means so much to them to feel like there are real people out there having struggles, but persevering and creating memories. And, people say all the time, you're so lucky. And while I do think that we're very fortunate people, there is not a lot of luck about it.
No luck at all. No.
There's so much sacrifice and hard work behind what we do that I would never ever complain about it. But there's so many moments when we're like, this is our life. This is amazing. We're so grateful. But at the same time, this is a ton of work.
Yeah.
And this used to be just our hobby that we would do, just Aaron and I going out in the shop building stuff. But now it's a lot more than that. And it's a lot more work. Getting our faces on and being ready to talk to a camera, that's a whole different experience than just going out and wrenching together.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of thresholds that we've crossed together that have been some of the hardest for us as a couple. So it's, while we are living the life of our dreams, it's also such a challenge. But the people behind what we do and the inspiration that we've given to people, that has just been the most amazing. And I feel like that's the depth behind what we do. It's not just fast cars and cool stuff powered by badass engines. It's the heart behind it, Yeah. It's just like there's so much more to it than the surface.
Well, I've heard this over and over from guests here on Cars Yeah, that cars are just a catalyst that bring all of us together as people. And that's the great thing about the car hobby, is that it is about the people, whether you're going to events or you're experiencing things with others or going to Cars and Coffee, whatever it might be. So yeah, and it is a lot of hard work, but all good things require a lot of hard work. So
exactly.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Let's take another short break. When we come back, I'm going to ask you what I call the big challenge question. So keep your wrench in hand. We'll be right back. Crash jewelry is handmade from the metal of luxury cars while preserving the original factory paint. Founder Christy Shimke came up with the idea when she moved her jewelry studio into her husband's Los Angeles auto body shop. After watching beautiful Porsche ultraviolet fenders and Ferrari Rosso Corsa hoods head to the scrapyard, she developed her own unique upcycling process of cutting, bending, and sanding the metal into unique, wearable pieces of beautiful automotive art. For Women's History Month here on Cars Yeah, Crash Jewelry is giving away a special Ferrari Art Deco cuff. The cuff includes an empowering message engraved inside. Enter to win today by subscribing at crashjewelry.com. Plus, Christy is offering Cars Yeah listeners 10% off in March when you use the code CARSYEAH at checkout. That's crashjewelry.com and use the code CARSYEAH today. And don't forget to follow Christy on Instagram at Crash Jewelry. Did you know that less than 3% of all automotive technicians in the United States are women? You may not be surprised, but you should be concerned because our country is facing a massive technician shortage right now. Skilled, qualified techs are in high demand, and we need young women and men to consider these careers as a viable path to a fulfilling life. I've interviewed hundreds of women in the automotive sector here on Cars Yeah, and I know that women make great techs. That's why I support the nonprofit Tech Force Foundation and its Women Techs Rock initiative to ensure women see themselves in the profession, the industry, and the workforce. Learn more at techforce.org today. All right, Emily, we're back. Now, what's the biggest obstacle you've had to overcome so far with what you and Aaron are doing, and how did you move past that situation and create a positive out of it instead of it a constant reminder that it wasn't so much fun?
Well, so I would say a surface problem that I deal with daily in the shop is my own self-criticism of what I don't know, and going into a project and being so intimidated to even speak on it because I know that there's going to be thousands of YouTube experts.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, aren't there?
and fire up those keyboards at me. Because while I am a confident person, there are things that I don't know. And there are intricacies of building an engine that I do not understand. Yet, we've built engines that have gone thousands of miles across the country. And I just have to realize, there's only so much that I can take and hold myself back with. The rest, I just have to put to the side and go, you know what? There may be a lesson here. Maybe I'll do something wrong, but I just have to move past that. So that's kind of the surface one that I deal with constantly going out to the shop to shoot the series. The one that's a lot deeper that, people may not quite get is the personal challenges that Aaron and I have worked through together and still work through. With his approach, he's always worked with mechanics. He grew up in his dad's heavy diesel repair business. And early on, he was the manager of all of these mechanics that were, 30 years his senior. And he was having to be a tough guy with them, having to manage them. And he would come home and do the same with me, kind of have that same gruffness. And, when I'd ask a question 3 times because I wasn't quite getting it, he would get frustrated with me and I would get frustrated and just be like, I'm good. Let's turn the cameras off and go in the house and not do this. And so there's been a lot of challenges with Aaron and I just working together like that. Where people see that we're really good, that's who we really are. But there are times when there's other realities that we have to push past where I've got to be patient with him and his approach of teaching me. But at the same time, I have to realize he's got, parts of his brain that say this is how you teach someone or this is how you give direction. And he's worked really, really hard for me to do that with kindness and gentleness, what I need. So it's been quite an exercise for the two of us to work together. And so that's 2 different things that have been most challenging, but also it's so great when you push past them and you work together and make stuff happen despite the challenges.
Yeah, I'm chuckling because I've been there, done that. My wife and I have been married 36 years, and I managed a company for many, many years, decades, and 100 plus employees, and having to deal with that, and then coming home, and as she used to say, turn your boss mode off. You're not at work anymore.
Yeah.
Because you get into that process. And we've done some things together with this podcast. And we've just decided maybe it's better for her to do her thing and I do my thing. And even talking with my kids, if I'm thinking about hiring your mom to do this, and they look at me and go, Bad idea, Dad. You have to know where you work well together. Obviously, we work well together because we've lived together for a long, long time. We dated for 5 years before we were married. So I think about that. 40 years we've known each other. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, but again, it's learning how to work back and forth. And then as you know, you have to have some tolerance and understanding, both of you. My grandfather and grandmother told me this when we were married. They were married 50 years when we got married. And I said, "What's the secret to a long, happy marriage?" And my grandfather said, "Well, that's simple. Just do everything she says." And my grandmother jabbed him and said, "Don't lie to the boy, Bill." And then he got very serious. My grandfather was kind of a fun, jovial guy. And he said, "Be willing to give more than you expect back. And if you do that with your spouse and with all the people you're around, you'll have a very happy life." And it's worked.
Mm-hmm. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and he was a very loved guy. And as I said, they were married a long time. Well, let's talk a little bit about a big bucket list. Now, you touched on one. You guys thinking about reinventing yourself a little bit, going out off-road, creating that as an evolution of your video page. Is there another big or maybe one or two big bucket list items on your list? You're still a very young woman, so the world is ahead of you.
Oh, absolutely. Aaron and I have done so much awesome travel over the years and kind of had tastes of different parts of the world and a part of the country that we want to go back. One of those places would be we want to go road trip Highway 1. That coastline, the West Coast. We love that area and we would love to go join up. We have a handful of friends there in that part of the country, and just to go shoot a series, road tripping and various shenanigans that we would get into with our friends. That's something we want to do. We also want to take our boat, we have 4 boats. Our main boat that we've shown on the channel, the cabin cruiser, we want to take it out and live on it and fish and hunt and do all kinds of fun survivalist stuff on that boat, whether it's in the saltwater or freshwater. I don't know. We just want to travel more with that boat and have more adventures that way. Also, I've been overseas a couple of times modeling, and Aaron has never been overseas. So we want to fly into Italy and rent a couple of motorcycles and just take our time and kind of backpack motorcycle down the coastline. And it would be amazing to just take like 2 or 3 months and just motorcycle and just get lost in Italy and just have a blast that way. So there's all kinds of things. That's 3 things that we want to do, but the list goes on and on. I mean, my gosh, this world has so much to offer someone that's willing to take the risk to adventure and spend money and do things that most people would just dream about doing their whole life and then retire and be too old and tired to do any of it. It's like, man, you got to get out there and do that stuff.
Yeah, you've got some awesome ideas there. I can see all of those working with you guys. Talk about scaling your business. There you go, scaling it different ways. I mentioned before, Sailing La Vagabond. If you haven't followed that YouTube series, I encourage you to. They've done a wonderful job and they've evolved in amazing ways. And now they have a little boy that is on the boat with them, and they're traveling the world with a 1-year-old. You know, I mean, how do you do that? I can't. The bravery there is beyond me, but that's why I think I admire them. I call them my weekly sea escape because they put out a show every week that I sit back and watch. About 20 minutes long. You have some great ideas there. No doubt they are all going to be very successful. And Highway 1, driven that many times or rode it on a bicycle once. It's spectacular. So yes, there you go. What's been the biggest high point on your journey so far, Emily? What are you the most proud of so far today?
Well, I mean, my first answer would be back to all of the heartfelt, wonderful feedback that we've gotten from the community. If I can choose something that's like, you know, just something really cool that's happened, that would be Aaron and I restored his first car, which is a 1978 Datsun 280Z. We restored it for our 10-year wedding anniversary. And of course, we took it on Hot Rod Power Tour. And Hot Rod Magazine did an article on us that ended up being a 5-page spread in the magazine. And it was about us and the rebuilding of that car that we dated in. And they did a full photo shoot on the car, and it just turned out beautiful. And we had no idea. We thought it might end up in the magazine and be like a little blurb in the Power Tour, you know, article. But they decided to do a full-on article, and it was, you know, multiple pages of us and our story and who we are and how we built the car and the love that went into it. And that was just such an incredible deal. And, as I know, I'm a part of this movement of social media replacing magazines. I'm not down with that. I love magazines and getting them and reading the articles and having the stack of magazines that mean something to you. And just the fact that we got to be a part of Hot Rod in that way and be an article that was featured in a car that's so special to us, that's probably way high on my list of something that's a high point so far.
Yeah, you think? Oh my gosh, that's like so cool.
Isn't that amazing?
That's really cool.
Japanese car.
I know. And you had me at our 10th wedding anniversary. We built a car. I'm like, okay, how many guys out there listening going, what? Man, I like this gal.
Well, it probably wasn't the smartest idea because we had a lot of terrible, late nights where we were like thrashing to finish the car before power tour.
Oh, no kidding.
But, it's like careful what you ask for sort of thing. But now that the car's done, we're like, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's like prepping for SEMA. There are a lot of late nights for sure.
Yeah, car has to drive across the country, not sit in a booth.
Yeah, even more so. So we're going to take one more short break. We come back. I'm going to ask you about your ultimate drive. So keep the seatbelts on. We'll be right back. I've discovered Linkage. It's a new quarterly publication and website that covers the automotive market, driving, restoring, collecting, and discovering your passion for motor vehicles. Linkage is about experiences, opinions, and values. Linkage is an actual informed, reasoned opinion based on first-hand experiences. A talented Linkage team covers the automotive world, the people who share your passion and mine, smart, considered, rational, and experienced opinions, ones you can learn from and grow. That includes our passion that drives auctions and the collector car market. So come with me and join us on this journey. Join Linkage. Linkage, geared for the automotive life. Subscribe today at linkagemag.com. Hey, fellow inspiring automotive enthusiasts, did you know if you subscribe at carsyeah.com, I'll send you my free Filler Up book? It's an ebook filled with fuel, filler fun, and inspirational quotes from past guests here on Cars Yeah. Plus, you'll get a weekly wrap-up email from me every Friday, and your name will be in the hat for one of the many free giveaways here at Cars Yeah. Simply go to carsyeah.com and click on the free book button, and boom, you're in the club. And don't forget to subscribe to Cars Yeah on your mobile podcast app, and you'll get the Cars Yeah show delivered right to your mobile device every day, absolutely free. Inspiring automotive enthusiasts, that's what we're all about here at Cars Yeah. Thanks for listening. All right, now, here's a question for you. If you could go on a drive, and I'm going to remove Aaron from this because obviously you're going to pick Aaron to do this with. So it's got to be somebody different. Now, this would be somebody who is in the automotive world, either living or maybe someone who's passed that you could do this with. But this would be somebody you could take a drive with. And what I want to know is, what kind of car are you in? What kind of questions would you ask them? And would you be driving or would your guest?
Dang. That is a really hard question. I have so many different people.
Well, just for today.
That, okay, are we doing the drive? Oh my gosh.
You can do whatever you want. That's the beauty of this question. You can drive anywhere you want, in any car with any person. I know that's always say, it's just like picking your favorite car, which is hard to do. I just say, if you had to answer that just for today, tomorrow could be different.
Okay. Dang. Okay. So where I would go and what I would do and who with, I think I'm going to text him and tell him that I said this. And he's going to be like, woman, you're crazy. I think I would choose my friend, Scotty Birdsall, who is Chuckles Garage on Instagram and YouTube and various places. He built I believe it's a 50 model Ford F100, but the truck is insane. It's a completely tube chassis. It's got a Cummins diesel in it, but it's compound turbo. It is, last year he did Pikes Peak and he broke the record for the fastest diesel to do Pikes Peak.
Whoa.
He is just an incredibly great dude, hilarious, and his truck is phenomenal. I would love to cruise, not necessarily race, because that would be real scary.
Yeah. I
would love to cruise Pikes Peak with him in that truck because he's now broken a record. And the year before last, he tried Pikes Peak and he wrecked the truck. He went off of a cliff and smashed the truck into a tree and broke his neck.
Oh,
Thankfully, not terribly bad, but his neck was messed up after that crash.
Ugh.
And he went back, rebuilt his truck, went back and broke a record. So I have so much respect for this dude. And I'm obsessed with the truck that he's built, that just having to choose one when I have so many, that I feel like that's one that I would just pack my stuff and jump into his truck and go on an adventure with that dude and his amazing machine that he's built. And that would be really, really awesome.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun, Scott, with Scotty. Now, would you be driving or would he be driving or would you trade off?
Well, if trading off is an option, that's what I'd choose, because I would want to see him behind the wheel, and because that truck is an extension of himself. Like he's put everything into that rig, and you can tell because of what he's done with it. And what he's achieved. But I would love some time behind the wheel of that thing. I mean, my gosh, it's got like 2,000 foot-pounds of torque. Like, that would be amazing.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, crazy. All right. So let's talk about a book. Is there a book you've read, something that is either automotive related or self-help or business? Really doesn't matter, but a book you've learned a lot from you'd like to share?
Sure. Yes. I haven't read many books. I have to admit that I read more Hot Rod Magazine than I do sit down and read books. But my family would always go, growing up, we'd always go to this conference called Rethinking Everything. And it was an annual conference, and it started out just about homeschooling, but it expanded to rethinking aspects of your life and who you are and what you want out of the world. And there was a speaker there named John Strelecki, and I really loved him. Like, the dude was just awesome. One of those magnetic personalities that you're just like, I just want to sit and talk with you forever. He wrote a book called The Big Five for Life. And that book was so great. I periodically will just pick it up and open it and just read that page. And I'm like, something on this page I'm going to need it. One of the things that he had in that book that I'll never forget is thinking of your life as a museum. Is your museum full of awesome things that you'd love to take people around and tour the museum of moments in your life? Or is it working and being down in the dumps about who you are and what you've created, just thinking of your life that way? And that was a metaphor that he used that I think about all the time, because he thinks of moments in your life as a museum moment. Yeah. Are you going to create a museum moment with today or with this goal that you're working toward? And I just love that. So Big Five for Life by John Strelecki was a real good book, in my opinion.
It's an awesome book. That book came out about 12, 13 years ago. And
yeah, it's older.
It's been around for a while, but I really love it. It also talks a lot about how to lead yourself. But I love that analogy of, would people want to tour your life as if it were a museum? Are you doing everything you can do with this wonderful gift we're given called life? And that's what Cars Yeah is all about, is all of us are having fun in the automotive sector here. Gosh, I've interviewed 1,772 plus people now. So who figured out the magic, just like you, Emily. So I appreciate you sharing that book with us. Nice addition to the Cars Yeah guest recommended book list, where you'll find on the Cars Yeah website. Emily, you've taken me on a great journey today. What an exciting person you are. Really proud of what you and Aaron have done. I want to thank you for sharing your amazing journey. Would you give us a little parting piece of wisdom or guidance before you rip off into the sunset on another great adventure with Aaron in the Flying Sparks Garage?
Oh, well, thank you for that nice compliment. I really appreciate you having me. Okay, parting wisdom, which, my gosh, I don't even know if I should be honored with saying that I have any wisdom at all. I think that I would say, try and figure out what makes you tick if you don't know already, and move toward that every day, just even if it's just a little bit. Because if you don't have something that fulfills you, then you're going to just be kind of aimless and have a lack of passion in your life. But if you have something, even if it seems silly, to work toward, then I feel like that adds so much to your life. And if you're already working toward that, keep at it and don't give up.
Yep.
Be ready to pivot. Don't be stuck in the mud, but keep at it, or find something that makes you so excited when you wake up in the morning to work toward.
I knew you had a powerful words of wisdom for us today, and you certainly did. What are the many ways people can follow you and Erin?
Sure. So on social media, I am Emily Williams Reeves. On Instagram, it's at I'm Emily Reeves, like I am Emily Reeves. And then, of course, Flying Sparks Garage. And then Erin's Instagram handle and handles on most other platforms, TikTok, Twitter, is Pilot Reeves, PilotReeves, because he is my pilot.
Yeah, absolutely. Not just cars at Flying Sparks Garage, boats and airplane too. So That's very, very cool. I'll put all these links on Emily's show notes page. You listeners can find her. I encourage you to follow these two. They're going to bring a smile to your face like they do mine. They are doing some amazing things, having fun in the automotive sector. So bravo to you two. Emily, thank you for taking some time out of a very busy day to spend with us today, for sharing your wisdom and your experiences and the joys in life that you bring everybody. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. Did you know that Cars Yeah is in the top 1% of all podcasts based on listenership, according to Libsyn, the premier RSS feed for podcasts in the United States? That's right. And Cars Yeah is the only 5-day-a-week automotive-focused podcast for you to get your message into the ears of thousands of listeners daily from all over the world. Plus, DuPont Registry recommended Cars Yeah as one of their top 10 car podcasts for you to enjoy. Cars Yeah has experienced tremendous growth, plus your ads are evergreen, meaning they never go away. And more listeners find Cars Yeah every day for their daily dose of automotive inspiration. Do you want to expose your brand to a highly targeted list of automotive enthusiasts in a very unique and very personal way? Well, I can help you. Contact me, Mark Green, at mark@carsyeah.com or through the website at carsyeah.com today to learn more.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.